Welcome back to The Vocalist. Today we are listening to tenor Jonas Kaufmann. If you have not heard him before, I think you will be pleasantly surprised. He is, in my mind at least, one of the greatest tenors of our generation. And while I understand that's a very subjective comment, I hope there are enough people in the world who would agree, so I'm okay showing a little bias today. We are going to watch him perform Don José's aria from the opera Carmen. Here we go.
La fleur que tu m'avais jetée dans ma prison m'était restée, flétrie et sèche cette fleur, gardez toujours sa douce odeur, et pendant des heures entières sur mes yeux fermant mes paupières, de cette odeur je m'enivrai, et dans la nuit je te voyais.
Okay, I thought long and hard about how I wanted to go about this particular video because this performance, this aria, really should be watched in its entirety. So if the pausing and the talking is not your cup of tea, I understand. I will have this video linked below so you can just watch it all the way through. But he does so many beautiful things, or things beautifully, technically. So I don't want to get too far and then not talk about them. So we're going back. Something like every musical genre, trends change from year to year, decade to decade, and I'm thinking before I make this statement. I don't know if I can say this with confidence, but what I wanted to point out is the darkness you hear in his voice. It's not, he has beautiful ping and the voice carries, but it's not the typical tenor sound that we often hear in classical repertoire. And so I don't even remember when this video first came out, but one of the reasons I just instantly fell in love with his voice was the timbre. It was that darkness, that richness, that warmth that it just feels so full and luxurious compared to some of the not lighter but brighter sounds that we get from a lot of tenors. And I think it's just a very rare kind of special approach that he has taken to his singing. So back we go.
La fleur que tu m'avais jetée
That first note is so hard in this aria. Like, getting just spot on intonation, but also like full adduction. Like, not, I hate using the phrase singing off the voice because it's just, I'm not a fan of that particular phrase, but I will say when you consider full adduction versus allowing some breathiness to come in, which we will hear from him later, it can be so challenging to just place the sound, place that particular note in the right place, I have to say place and place, but they mean different things in this instant. To put the sound in the right place so that you have full adduction, the intonation is where you want it to be, like you're on the center of the pitch, but you're not scooping into the note. That's, I think, what is so difficult about this opening line for this aria. There are many other difficult things to come. One more time.
La fleur que tu m'avais jetée dans ma prison m'était restée, flétrie et sèche cette fleur, gardez toujours sa douce odeur.
Oh gosh, his delivery of the text is just so beautiful. I love the rounding, like the neutrality that we see in his mouth. We can see the jaw drop down and back. It's not hyperextending or pulling forward. And then throughout most of this delivery, obviously, yes, he's singing in French, so there's naturally some rounding that will occur, but I feel as though I don't know, anytime I've heard him sing or watched a performance, there's this really beautiful rounding that happens throughout the majority of his range, which I think it's just beautiful. I think I'm going to be saying beautiful a lot, so apologies.
Et pendant des heures entières, sur mes yeux fermant mes paupières, de cette horreur je m'enivrai, et dans la nuit je te voyais.
Dynamic control is otherworldly. He backs off so gracefully, but again, with maintaining like full adduction of the chords, it doesn't become incredibly breathy, and it's so captivating both to watch but also to just close your eyes and hear.
Je me prenais à te maudire, à te détester, à me dire pourquoi faut-il que le destin l'ait mis sur mon chemin.
That contrast, beautiful, tall, rounded vowels, backing off dynamically, and then the shift that he makes on the next line, it just shimmers. It's so bright that the color changes drastically.
Un seul espoir
play that again. I have goosebumps. I mean, this is such a beautiful aria anyway, but the way he has that diminuendo in there, and you can even see on those top notes, like there isn't I'm thinking of some other tenors. I think if you watch enough videos, you will see some spread in tenors who are singing in this range. And so again, trends change, teaching changes. So that's not, it might not be as prevalent now as it was when he first kind of, I won't even say hit the scene. He's been singing he's had such a long career, but I think that at least when I first discovered him, the technical trend was a bit more spread on the top notes, and to watch that beautiful rounding, I think just took me aback, and I found it very exciting. Oh, sorry. I gotta go back. I want to make sure I say this correctly. There are some schools of thought in opera that it really is just kind of like a park and bark art form, because you are doing so much vocally, technically. It's a lot, like singers are focused primarily on the voice, which that makes sense, as they should. But in that, sometimes we lose the drama. Sometimes we lose the character. Sometimes we lose the emotion. And opera is dramatic, whether it's a comedy or not. Like there's so much depth to these characters, and I love that he's able to deliver that physically and vocally. I don't know, we'll leave it at that. We're leading into like the grand finale, so I'm gonna try and be quiet for the rest of this.
J'étais une chose à toi, Carmen.
Oh my goodness. Let me go back even further. I want to get that whole thing. Don José is I think he's a very complex character. Some might disagree. And when you get to this point in the opera, like, you kind of have a love-hate relationship with the guy, and the beauty of this aria, okay, I'm speaking from my own experience. Like, when I get to this point in the opera and I'm watching, I have a love-hate relationship with the guy. And so getting to this aria, musically, it's just so breathtaking. But I don't know, the way he delivers this, I feel like there are so many layers to this character that it allows me to still see his flaws. It doesn't like completely take me out of the context of everything that happened before. And I don't know. I find that very impressive because it's so easy to get swept away with the music by the time. And who doesn't want to, a tenor serenading you, but a lot has happened prior that one must also take into consideration when watching this or hearing this particular aria. So when we get to that high note at the end, just soak up that diminuendo. It's so incredibly challenging to do in that place in the tenor range, and again to do so with seemingly full adduction. It doesn't get breathy, it doesn't get airy, and it's just so well controlled. I mean, it's incredible.
Carmen,
I love that clip. I've seen it many times. I will watch it many times over. I completely understand that and why opera is not necessarily everyone's cup of tea. There are certainly some sounds that it requires some time for one to appreciate or even get used to. But there are also some sounds that I think are just so remarkable. And when you consider what the human voice has to do to achieve these sounds, the amount of pressure that supports these sounds, and of course the amount of training that goes into creating these sounds, I think it's just so beautiful. So we'll leave it at that. Thank you guys so much for watching this with me, and hopefully I will see you next time.